Good morning to the second year students. So today's topic is regarding the medical surgical nursing. In medical surgical nursing, we are dealing with the cardiovascular system. So in cardiovascular system, we are already dealt with the acute coronary artery disease, and then ischemic heart disease, and then hypertension. Now we'll go with the heart failure. So heart failure, what is meant by heart failure? So it is a clinical syndrome resulting from the structural or functional cardiac disorders that impair the ability of the ventricles to fill or eject the blood. So what will be happening over here? It is a clinical syndrome that result from either structural or functional defect. So it may be a structural or functional defect of the because of the structural or functional defect of the heart, it may causes the inability to pump the blood or fill the blood. So it is also referred as a congestive heart failure. So clinically it results from structural or functional cardiac disorders that impair the ability to fill or eject the blood in the ventricles. So this is the thing. Incidence. Most of the incidence of the heart failure is increasing with the age. Approximately 6 million people in United States has been diagnosed each year in the United States, and new cases can be seen in each year. So most of the 75 years of age group people are affected more. So types of heart failures. What are the types of heart failures? Means there are two types of heart failures. So systolic heart failure and diastolic heart failure. On assessment, the ventricular function usually done by the echocardiogram. The ventricular function can be usually done by the echocardiogram. The systolic heart function are most common type. This is a very common type, alteration in the ventricular contraction. So systolic means there will be alteration in the ventricular contraction because of weakened heart muscles. Because of the weakened heart muscles, there will be alteration in the ventricular contraction. So diastolic heart failure, it is a less common type. It is characterized by the stiff or non-compliant heart muscle, making it difficult for ventricular to fill. What will be happening over here? It is a very less common type. It is characterized by the stiff. Because of the stiffness or non-compliant heart muscles, because of this, it making difficult to fill. So we have already seen in definition itself, it is an inability to fill or eject the blood out of the ventricles. So we'll see what is meant by ejection fraction. So it is important in the heart failure, because what is meant by ejection fraction? Ejection fraction can be assessed by performing echocardiogram. So it can able to know which type of heart failure is it. So we can able to illustrate ejection fraction. How it is calculated means subtracting the amount of blood present in the left ventricle at the end of the systole from the amount of blood present at the end of the diastole, and calculating the percentage of the blood that is ejected. So what is this? Is nothing but subtracting the amount of blood with the amount of blood which is present in the at the end of the systole. The blood will be present in the left ventricle. That may be a 20% or 30%. So that can be subtracted by end diastolic pressure low kuda amount of blood that may be a 30 or that may be a 30. This may be a 20. So 30 minus 20. So that is nothing but this 10 is nothing but the ejection fraction. So got it? So the calculating that is an example. So normal EF. So how much EF? 55 to 65. So let us assume at the end of the systole 100 ml of blood has been left over in the left ventricle, and then at the end of the diastole 50% of the blood. So 100 minus 50, it will come around 50. So that is that thing. So normal EF is nothing but 55 to 65% of the ventricular volume, and ventricle does not completely empty the blood during so during the cycle itself we had seen it will not empty completely. So EF is normally diastolic heart failure. So mostly diastolic heart failures, but severely reduced in systolic. So actually in diastolic heart failures, EF will be normal, but in case of systolic, it will be abnormal. So this is the thing. So in New York Heart Association, it has been classification. So first classification, according to the Heart Association, it has been classified. Type 1. In this type 1, there is no limitations of physical activity. Generally, if they have ఫిజికల్ యాక్టివిటీ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటే వాళ్ళకి హార్ట్ ఫెయిల్యూర్ వీ కెన్ ఏబుల్ టు ఇలిస్ట్రేట్ అనమాట. డిస్నియా అండ్ పాల్పిటేషన్స్, ఫెటిగ్. ఇఫ్ ద పేషెంట్ ఒక్కొక్కసారి స్టెప్స్ కొంచెం దూరం నడిస్తేనే దే విల్ ఫీల్ ఫెటిగ్, పాల్పిటేషన్, డిస్నియా. సో దట్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ క్లాసిఫైడ్. సో ఫస్ట్ క్లాసిఫికేషన్ ఈజ్ అన్ limitation of the no limitation of the physical activity. So here irrespective of the physical activity, ordinary activity does not cause us any, they can able to perform their activities perfectly because they don't have a fatigue or palpitations or dyspnea. Second thing, slight limitations. So they have to have a slight limitation. Comfortably they have to take rest hours, and then some of the ordinary activities may cause us fatigue, palpitations and dyspnea. So and then third thing is a marked limitation of the physical activity. So they will be comfortable, definitely comfortable at rest in both things, and but less ordinary activity than that. So they will be having fatigue, palpitations and dyspnea. So in fourth stage they cannot able to carry out their physical activity with comfort. So with discomfort they can able to carry out. Symptoms of cardiac insufficiency at rest. At rest also they may feel cardiac insufficiency. If any physical activity undertaken, discomfort will be increased more and more. So this is a very severe stage. In first stage there is no limitation of the physical activity. They don't have a fatigue, palpitation and dyspnea. In second stage there will be slight limitation of the physical activity. They will be comfortable at rest, definitely. Some ordinary activities may cause us the fatigue, palpitations and dyspnea. In third stage, marked limitations can be seen in the physical activity. They will be comfortable with rest but having a less ordinance. And then fourth stage they cannot able to perform their daily activities. They will facing some discomfort, and then cardiac insufficiency can be seen at the time of the rest also. So this is a so one classification is more than enough for you. And etiology, coming to the etiology, coronary artery disease. This coronary artery disease, what will be is ischemia. Because of the ischemia, myocardial cells are deprived of oxygen. So what will be happening in ischemia? Myocardial cells, the cells which is present in the heart, on the heart, the myocardium cells will be deprived of oxygen. They leads to the acidosis. Because of the acidosis, there will be accumulation of the lactic acid. So lactic acid accumulations can be seen. And MI causes the focal heart muscle necrosis. In this MI, what will be happening there? The muscle will get necrosed and death of the cells. Because of the death of the cells, the contractility will be lost. Because of that, the patient may go into the because of the it's depend upon the infarction. So how much level of the level the necrosis can be seen, that much level the severity can be very more. They may lead to the heart failure. So this is the thing. In coronary artery disease, the patient may be in ischemia, and then we'll coming to the cardiac myopathy. Cardiac myopathy is also very big topic. We'll see in another topic, but we'll have a just we'll know what is meant by cardiac myopathy. This cardiac myopathy means a disease which is related to the myocardium. So there are three types. One is a dilated, hypertrophic and restrictive. This dilated is the most common type of cardiac myopathy because diffuse cellular necrosis and fibrosis can be seen. Because of this cellular necrosis and fibrosis, that there will be contractility will be decreased. In hypertrophic and restrictive cardiac myopathy leads to decrease and distendability and ventricular filling. So because of decreased distendability and ventricular filling, it is hypertrophic and restrictive. So hypertension. Coming to the hypertension, and hypertension definitely because of increasing workload of the heart, it may leads to the hypertrophy of the myocardial muscle fibers. Because these can be considered compensatory mechanism because it increases the contractility. However, hypertrophy may impair the heart ability to fill properly during diastole, and hypertrophic ventricle may eventually dilate, and hypertrophic ventricle eventually dilate and fail. So what will be happening here? In afterload will be increases. Whenever the afterload can be increases, this myocardial muscle fibers will be hypertrophied. Because of that, it may fail to fill properly during the diastole. So it cannot able to fill the blood during diastole. Because of that, it may leads to the dilate, and eventually may causes the heart failure. And then valvular disorders. In valvular disorders, some of the valvular disorders, because of the valvular problems, there will be unidirectional flow, because the blood will be flowing in the unidirectional. Whenever there is a valvular dysfunction, the valve dysfunction undi anante the difficulty in moving forward and increasing the pressure in the heart. Whenever ante blood has to move and blood has to receive. Whenever the valve is not working properly, what will be happening? Ventricular pressures will be increasing more and more. Because of that, the cardiac output will be increasing more and more. Because of this cardiac output increasing more and more, it may leads to the heart failure. So, and coming to the diabetes and cardiac dysfunction, because of the if alterations in any electrical stimulations. So because electrical stimulations alterations vachinappudu, what will be happening? Impaired myocardial contraction. So whenever the impaired myocardial contraction, the ability or efficacy can be decreased. So myocardial function can be decreased. Because it decreases, it may land up into the heart failure. Acute illnesses. So acute illnesses such as pneumonia with fever and hypoxia. In case of any pneumonia, fever with hypoxia, the metabolic rate will be increases. Whenever the metabolic rate increases, it may precipitate to the heart failure. Some other factors like the patient may land up into the acidosis. That may be a respiratory acidosis or metabolic acidosis or electrolyte abnormalities, or some of the anti-arrhythmic medications also can land up into the heart failure. So these are all some of the causes. So whenever the myocardial dysfunction occurs, so myocardial dysfunction when it is occurring in case of ischemic heart disease, hyperthyroidism, myocardial infarction, valvular diseases, alcohol or cocaine abuse, or in case of hypertension, that may lead to the decreased cardiac output. Whenever the cardiac output decreases, definitely the systemic blood pressure will be decreased, and perfusion to the kidney is also decreased. Ante kadamma, cardiac output decrease aithe manaki kidney perfusion is also will decrease. Whenever it will be decreased, there will be activation of the renin-angiotensin aldosterone mechanism. So we'll see afterwards this. So we'll go with this. So whenever this cardiac output decreases, there will be activation of the baroreceptors which are present at the aorta. So whenever there is activation of the baroreceptors, with the left ventricle and aortic arch and carotid sinuses, the baroreceptors will be present. So what will be happening? Stimulation of the vasomotor center. So what will be happening with the stimulation of the vasomotor center, which is present in the medullary part? Because of this stimulation, it may lead to the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Because of the sympathetic nervous system, this catecholamines, epinephrine and nephrine will be released. So released and increased. Whenever this can be released and increased, there will be vasoconstriction, leads to the vasoconstriction. Whenever this vasoconstriction is, afterload and blood pressure will be increased, and then heart rate will be increased more and more. Whenever it has been increased, increase. So over here we'll stop here. So we'll go with the renin-angiotensin mechanism. Whenever angiotensinogen, this is an enzyme, it helps us to convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2 with the help of the enzyme angiotensin enzyme. So which is present in the lungs. With the help of that, it will help us to conversion. So angiotensin 2 will help us to aldosterone release in the adrenal cortex. Whenever it has been released, what will be happening? So the renin mechanism, not only here, the renin mechanism start here from by taking the angiotensinogen, and it can help us to conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, and it help us to secrete this aldosterone release in the cortex. Whenever increased aldosterone, what will be happening? Secretion, sodium and water retention can be seen, and then cytokinins will be released, vasopressin can be released. Because of this, it may lead to the vasoconstriction. So ఈ వాటర్ అంతా అయిపోతే వెజల్స్ అయిపోతుంది, కన్స్ట్రక్టెడ్ అయిపోతుంది. So whenever it has been seen, what will be happening? And not only this, ventricular remodeling can be seen. So ventricles become remodeled. So it may lead to the remodeled means the cells become very large and large. So like this, these are the normal cells, but the ventricular cells become large and large. So this is how they may land up. This is how this is a clinical manifestation. Not left side heart failure. In left-sided heart failure, cannot able to pump the blood out of the ventricles to the aorta and systemic circulation. అంటే ఏంటి ఇక్కడ బాగా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, లెఫ్ట్ సైడెడ్ హార్ట్ ఫెయిల్యూర్ ఉంది అని అంటే బ్లడ్ పంప్ చేస్తుంది. సో బ్లడ్ పంప్ ఫ్రమ్ ద వెంట్రికల్స్ టు అయోటా అండ్ సిస్టమిక్ సర్క్యులేషన్. Because of that, there will be increased ventricular and diastolic blood volume. So cannot able to pump అని అంటే 50% కన్నా ఒక 100% 100 ml ఎక్కువగా ఉండిపోతుంది. బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దట్ లెఫ్ట్ వెంట్రికులర్ ఇంక్రీజెస్ ద లెఫ్ట్ వెంట్రికులర్ అండ్ డయాస్టోలిక్ ప్రెషర్. సో అక్కడ ఎండ్ డయాస్టోలిక్ ప్రెషర్ అనేది ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది. ఇంక్రీజ్ అవ్వడం వల్ల ఏమవుతుంది, విచ్ కాజెస్ డిక్రీజ్ బ్లడ్ ఫ్లో from the left atrium into the left ventricle during diastole. So what happened? Pressure increase అయ్యే కొద్దీ the blood flow has to be increased, but ఇక్కడ decrease అయిపోతుంది blood flow అనేది కూడా. Whenever blood flow will decrease, the blood volume and pressure in the left atrium also increases. The blood volume and pressure in the left atrium increases, which in turn decreases the blood flow from the pulmonary vessels. సో ఇక్కడ బ్లడ్ అనేది పూలకు పోతూ ఉంటుంది, బట్ బ్లడ్ ఫ్లో from the pulmonary vessels will be decreased. It may lead to the pulmonary venous blood volume and pressure increases, and then forcing the fluid from the pulmonary capillaries into the pulmonary tissues and alveolus, causing pulmonary interstitial edema and impaired gases exchange. So అక్కడ డిక్రీజ్ బ్లడ్ ఫ్లో అయిపోయింది కదా, డిక్రీజ్ బ్లడ్ ఫ్లో అయిపోయిందంటే ద గ్యాసెస్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్ ఆల్సో కాజెస్ alterations. So interstitial, అందుకే it may causes the interstitial edema. So because of that, the patient may present ఇది ఉండడం వల్లనే patient may presenting cough and dyspnea mainly he may present with it, shortness of breath. So clinical. So Clinical manifestation: dyspnea, cough, that may be a dry cough and non-productive. Pulmonary crackles, the pulmonary is having crackle sound, low oxygen saturation, extra heart sounds can be heard. Extra heart sounds and S3 sound will be seen and ventricular large amount of blood entering into the ventricles at the beginning of the diastole. ఎందుకు వస్తుంది అని అంటే లార్జ్ అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లూయిడ్ అది వెంట్రికల్స్ ఎప్పుడు ఎంటర్ అయినప్పుడు దిస్ కెన్ బి సీన్. డిస్నియా ఆన్ ఎగ్జర్షన్, సో moderate activity, minimal or moderate activity kone valde dyspnea. Orthopnea, difficulty breathing while flying flat also. Dyspnea at night, that is nothing but paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. Sputum frothy, pink, blood tinged, and decreased renal perfusion. Ante మనం చూసాం కదా, renal perfusion decrease అవడం వల్ల origuria, edema can be seen వాళ్ళకి. And decreased gastrointestinal perfusion, alteration in the digestion system because of decreased cardiac output. Decreased brain perfusion, dizziness into the light-headedness can be seen because of the activation of the vasomotor center by sympathetic nervous system. They may be having a confusion, restlessness and anxiety also. So coming to the right-sided heart failure, in case of right-sided heart failure, when right ventricle fails, the congestion in the peripheral tissues and visceral predominance. These occur because of right-sided heart failure cannot eject the blood and cannot accommodate all the blood that is normally returns to it, forms a venous circulation. Increased venous pressure leads to the jugular venous pressure increases, JVD, and increased capillary hydrostatic pressure throughout the venous system. So definitely ikkada right sided heart failure, it may fails. Whenever it fails, congestion in the peripheral tissues and visceral tissues. Whenever there is a congestion in the peripheral and peripheral tissues, the right side of the heart cannot able to eject the blood out. So it cannot able to eject out the blood and cannot accommodate the blood normally. So but obviously అది చేయలేదు, accommodate చేయలేదు. What will be happening? The pressure will be increasing more and more, and hydrostatic pressure will be increasing in the venous system. It may lead to the, సో వీళ్ళకి ఎలా ఉంటుంది, ఎక్స్ట్రీమిటీస్, ఎడిమా ఇన్ ద ఎక్స్ట్రీమిటీస్ అంటే పిట్టింగ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ ఎడిమా ఉంటుంది. ఎక్స్టర్నల్ జెనిటేలియా, లోయర్ ట్రంక్ మొత్తం జెనిటేలియా, సాక్రల్ ఎడిమా కానీ ఉంటుంది. హెపాటోమెగాలీ కెన్ బి సీన్, అసైటిస్, సో అనరెక్సియా, నాజియా, వీక్నెస్, వెయిట్ గెయిన్ డ్యూ టు బికాస్ ఆఫ్ రిటెన్షన్, హెపాటోమెగాలీ, టెండర్నెస్ ఇన్ ద హెపాటోమెగాలీ రైట్ అప్పర్ క్వాడ్రంట్ of the abdomen. Coming to the assessment and diagnostic findings, we have to assess for clinical signs and symptoms. So echocardiogram to know the how much extent of the and in which type of failure they are land up, so that has to be known. Identify the underlying cause, we have to know the identifying cause and which type of heart failure is it, we have to identify it. And non-invasive radionucleotide ventriculography or invasive ventriculography can be advised. In chest X-ray, ECG, serum electrolytes, blood urea nitrogen, thyroid stimulating hormone and complete blood cells count, urine analysis can be done. Cardiac stress test can be done to know the coronary artery disease or ischemic heart disease. Main goal, we have to relieve the patient's symptoms, improve the functions, improve the functional status, quality of life and extent of the survival. Management is based on the type and severity and cause of the heart failure. Objectives mean elimination, reduce any etiological contribution factors such as uncontrolled hypertension or atrial fibrillation with rapid ventricular response. Ante enti eliminate or reduce etiological factors and uncontrolled hypertension unna, atrial fibrillations unna, that has to be corrected and then eliminated. Optimize pharmacological and therapeutic regimens, so minimizing and reduce the workload on the heart, that is preload and afterload. Promoting lifestyle conducive to the cardiac health and prevents episodes of acute decompensate hypertension. So these are the things. So pharmacological therapy, we had seen angiotensin converting enzymes, captopril can be given. It is help us to decrease the blood pressure, and afterload also can be decreased. So ARB is also suggested. These ARBs are nothing but angiotensin receptor blockers. There is a losartan, help us to decrease the BP and decrease the afterload, and it relieves the signs and symptoms of heart failure. And beta blockers, metoprolol can be given, dilate the blood vessels, so and decrease the thing heart. These are the BP. And diuretics means it will decrease the fluid overload because of presence of edema. And digitalysis can be given. It is to improve the contractility. While giving the digitalysis, as a nurse, we have to careful to observe the bradycardia. And the calcium channel blockers can also be given. That is amlodipine. This is a vasodilatation. It will reduce the systemic vascular resistance. So systemic vascular resistance can be observed for hypertension. So pharmacological therapy include dopamine. So dopamine, it is a one type of catecholamine. It will stimulate the beta adrenergic receptors. So this will stimulate the beta adrenergic. Whenever this beta adrenergic receptors are stimulated, it increases the cardiac contractility. So the dopamine can be milrinone. This is also the type of the drug, phosphodiesterase inhibitors. So what will be happening? It delays the release of the calcium. So whenever it delays the release of the calcium in the intracellular cells, this helps us to promote the vasodilatation. Because of increasing vasodilatation, resulting in decreased preload and afterload and reduced cardiac workload. So these are the things. So nutritional therapy, low sodium can be advised. Avoid drinking excessive amounts of fluids. Additional therapy, so oxygen therapy can be advised. Interventions, cardiovert defibrillator, so placement of implanted ICD. So the cardiovert defibrillator ante, where you have seen the defibrillator, so defibrillator will give the shock to the patient. Because of giving of the shock, this electrical activity will be increased. Whenever this electrical activity is increased, contractility will be get normal. At that time, the heart cardiac output can be maintained. So cardiac verted defibrillator, this is an implanted one. So placement of the implanted one, ICD, to prevent sudden cardiac death and extent of the survival. And cardiac resynchronization therapy. So the cardiac resynchronization therapy and one more therapy. It is another therapy. It involves use of biventricular pacemaker. So దీంట్లో ఏంటంటే biventricles కి టూ వెంట్రికల్స్ కి పేస్ మేకర్ ప్లేస్మెంట్ చేస్తారు. చేయడం వల్ల ఎలక్ట్రికల్ కండక్షన్ డిఫెక్ట్స్ ఏమైనా ఉంటే ఇట్ క్యాన్ బి రిజాల్వ్డ్. అండ్ లెఫ్ట్ bundle branch block. In case of bundle branch, we'll see afterwards. In dysarrhythmias, it can be seen. Dysarrhythmias and electrical activity abnormalities, alterations in the electrical activity. So appudu these bundle branch blocks ala kanipistayi. So appudu a type of delayed conduction that frequently seen in the patients with heart failure. So use of pacemaker devices, which leads to, so these are the things. And one more intervention is ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration is also an alternation therapy for the patients with severe overload. Whenever the patient is having a severe fluid overload, dual lumen catheter, IV catheter is used, which could be peripherally inserted through the central catheter. So central catheter or midline or central, when the patient blood is circulated through the small bedside machine. So ఇది ఒక IV catheter ద్వారా catheter introduce చేసి it is connected to the machine. Liters of excess fluid and plasma were removed slowly from the patient intravascular circulating volume over number of hours. Ante just like dialysis anamata, one centrally or midline catheter will be passed through the, it is connected to the machine bedside only. So amount of fluid, excess of fluid can be removed from the intravascular system. This fluid is discarded and filter the blood products and return to the patient. Ante fluid maatrame it will be taken out and the blood will be circulating to the patient, just like dialysis itself. It is one type of thing. Nursing process, we'll go with the nursing process. Assessment, definitely we have to assess the patient, detailed assessment from the top to bottom, because it's a heart failure. Health history can be taken, and physical examination, this cardiac examination mainly observe for the sounds, abnormal sounds and lung sounds also. And diagnosis, coming to the diagnosis, activity intolerance and fatigue related to decreased cardiac output. So in assessment, definitely we have to see for the dyspnea, which type of dyspnea patient is having, and moreover, if the patient is having shortness of breath, we have to observe for the nails. And then edema, which type of edema is it? We have to know, is it pitting edema, non-pitting edema? That has to be known clearly. The patient is having previous health history, means previous any cardiac diseases, or a patient is taking any antihypertensives or not, if they are taking regularly or not, that has to be assessed. And we have to see according to the causes, we have to know these things. And previous patients with acute illnesses, they have suffered with any acute illnesses or fever, that has to be noted priorly. And the physical examination will observe for the lung sounds and heart sounds. And not only that, we will have a 4 steps, that is the palpation, percussion, auscultation, inspection, palpation, percussion, auscultation. So these are the steps that has to be followed during this nursing process. Nursing diagnosis, what is this? Activity intolerance and fatigue related to decreased cardiac output. So definitely because of they cannot able to perform, main adhe complaint, they cannot able to perform their activity because of decreased cardiac output and excessive fluid volume related to heart failure. So next వచ్చేసి ఏంటంటే fluid volume కూడా increase ఉంటుంది. And next thing, they will be anxious, definitely anxious, anxiety related to breathlessness from the inadequate oxygenation, and powerless related to chronic illness and hospitalization, ineffective therapeutic management related to lack of knowledge. So activity intolerance, we have to increase the activity. So how we have to increase the activity means promoting the activity tolerance, reduce the activity caused by the heart failure. Actually some patients, they cannot able to walk, or they cannot able to walk for some distance, so we have to reduce to some distance. And then prolonged inactivity is avoided. So they should not be prolonged inactive stage lo undakudu, because they may have a chance of getting pressure sores. The exercises regimen can be advised. So warm ups or small exercises can be advised them to follow for 30 minutes. And then going on, we have to increase the level. Physical activity can be done for 3 to 5 minutes at a time, or for 1 or 4 times per day. So and then some methods can adjusting the activity or limiting the activity. And also feeds and small foods can be advised to reduce the overload. Managing the fluid volume, definitely we have to manage the fluid volume. We have to maintain the IO chart. And then diuretic therapy, IV diuretic therapy can be advised. Oral diuretic, if they are on oral diuretics in the morning, so diuresis. So actually these oral diuretics will be given in the morning itself, because it will not be given in the night times, because the patient may have a diuresis and may go every night napping will be more. So because of that, to prevent that, to prevent or we should not disturb the night hours. So because of that they will advise the diuretics in the morning times itself. Discuss the timing of the medications. So if they are older patients, we have to clearly discuss regarding the medications, timing of the medication, especially who have urgency and incontinence. Fluid status can be monitored by auscultating lungs and monitoring daily weight. This is very important because patient is having a weight gain, so definitely we have to maintain the weight chart. And assisting the patient to adhere to low sodium. So low sodium and reading, whenever they are taking outside food, they have to read the food labels. So if they are in high in sodium, that can be avoided. And then some processed foods that can be avoided. Plenty of fluids can be taken throughout the day, and plan for fluid intake throughout the day. And patient positions are taught how to assume the position that facilitate breathing head up. So keeping the head up positions with the help of pillows, and lower arms also we have to keep the pillows to support and to eliminate the fatigue and to decrease this edema in lower abdominal edema. And positions can be changed frequently to prevent pressure sores. So this is regarding that. Anxiety, definitely the patient will be having a very anxiety. We have to decrease the anxiety. Anti-anxiety drugs can be given, and not only that, we have to explain each and every investigation to the patient, so that and he is a very breathlessness, so we have to give oxygen administration, ask them to be cool, and provide a good environment to them, a calm and quiet environment to them. Sounds should be avoided, so that they have to keep the pleasant. Advise them to have any spiritual or diversional therapies, and then ineffective therapeutic regimen. So definitely we have to explain each and every drug, its side effects, and how to manage in the home, and how to record the BP, and how to record the pulses in the home. If we are having any complications also, advise them to come to the hospital. So this is regarding heart failure. So this heart failure is divided into right sided heart failure, left sided heart failure. When you see the anatomy of what is the function of right side and what is the function of left side, so if there is imbalance in that function, leads to the heart failure. This is regarding the heart failure only. It is a filling and ejecting out the blood. Inability to fill, inability to eject the blood leads to the heart failure. So we are having these symptoms. Definitely when the patient is having heart failures, the left-sided heart failure, the patient may present with SOB, because pulmonary function will be disturbed. Because of that, they may land up in this. So we had seen today's heart failure topic is completed.